When you require a roster for a specific operator that can vary over a 4-week period, in other words, week 1 is different to week 2, 3 and 4, and then it cycles back to week 1 again, that equates to number of rosters 4. So in Edit Employees, it's important that you have the correct start date, number of rosters 4, as well as the roster start cycle, which tells the system a specific date when to start week number 1. Moving over to Edit Hours, select the operator, select the date, which is important, and then when you click on Normal to go to Roster, it will tell you for that specific date which week it falls in, knowing that the start cycle is 1st July 08. If you change the date, it will tell you that that's now week roster number 1. The other very important thing is to have roster available from. That if you don't have any dates here, that specific roster will be available at all times. Now each week of that roster, week 1 to 4, you can have a certain available from and a certain available to date as well. If the to date is blank, it will be available at all times. So if we select available from, then that particular date is telling the system that this specific week roster number 1 is available from that date. And you can change it if you need to. So that's available from that time. Now what you can do is then change the date and enter in rosters for this operator for week number 2. Week number 3, apparently this person doesn't work on this week, and week number 4. And if you go to the next week, you go back to the roster. Now once you've entered the rosters in for the range and you've saved, you go back to normal and the hours would come back in. Now if you notice that some of the hours are not coming back in from the rosters, and one of the main reason is because normal hours has been entered in for this operator prior to the rosters being started. To bring those rosters through, then we need to get rid of those normal hours, because normal hours always overrides the rosters. So you go to Edit and you recall roster, go yes, and that will now bring in the rosters that you've just entered in. You will have to, if normal hours were entered in, you will have to go through each week and make sure that you're happy with the hours. And if the hours are not correct, you'll need to go through and do the same, recalling rosters, go yes, and that'll bring through the rosters that are in the system. So normal hours always override